Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so let me start today almost on time so that I can finish by 12:30. Just some people had asked me to do that. I just limited to that. So before I start, any questions, doubts on whatever stuff that has been done till now? Did you guys go over the Catalan number and convince yourself that that is correct? What about the derangement? Did you guys dig up your notes from probability course? No response coming from anywhere. Nothing. No one is responding.
Sir, I have a very simple question. Can I ask?
Yeah.
So you select X in case of Catalan number so that no path touch wall before reaching X.
Yes.
So those cases where we touch wall and go to X, then from X to T. How treat those cases?
Yes. So say if you have touched the wall before X, then that will not be counted in the then will not be counted. So when I'm counting the set of paths that touches X first, right? In that set, if a path exists which touches X before that, it will not be counted, right?
Why, sir?
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So in the Catalan number thing, there was there that here was this stuff, okay, and I had to look at all the possible paths from S to T. Okay, all paths from S to T that don't cross the diagonal, right? And I split it up into parts. So I looked at any point here. Okay, any point is basically say I cross I, and I call this one PI. This is all the paths from S to T that don't cross the diagonal. That was fine. And the first time the path touches the diagonal is at I cross I. So at this point, right? Now, if there is a path, says, which has walked like this and touched here and done something and then had touched X and then has gone over to do something else, maybe even has touched it here and so on. This path is not counted. This is not in PI because this path has touched the diagonal before I. So this must be, so if this is this is J, okay, so this path will be counted in PJ. Is that clear?
Okay. And we carry I from one to N.
Yes, and you carry I from 1 to N.
Yes.
Okay, I mean for every path there is exactly one place where it can be counted, not in two places, right? Because it touches the diagonal exactly at one. I mean the first place it touches the diagonal is unique, right? And that is why it will be counted. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So if not, let me directly go into what we want to do today. What we want to do today is a very interesting thing, but I will start with, so this is solving recurrences. Okay, the goal is to solve recurrences. Now, we had discussed that, okay, there are some small recurrences that you can solve, but not all of them is easy to do. And particularly, I look at this Fibonacci sequence, okay? F of n equals to f of n minus 1 plus f of n minus 2, where f of 1 equals to f of 2 equals to 1, right? Something of that kind. Actually, no, sorry. Usually it is defined in the opposite type. Okay, so 0 and 1. Now, I should be a bit careful over here. This sequence, this is, what is this? This is for all n bigger than or equal to 2, right? So this is basically the base case, and this is the recurrence for all n bigger than or equal to 2. Okay? And now I want to solve the f of n. Now, did anybody of you try to solve it by kind of opening it up or something like that? So what do I mean by solving it? I mean that I want to write f of n as something, some function of n. Okay, this can be a summation over I, something, I equals to 1 to n, or any object of that form. Okay. But not like this. This is not, right? This is not a sum. This is kind of done inductively. It's a recurrence. And what I want is this thing. Okay, this is what I want. The question is that how do I solve it?
Sir, can you use characteristic equations?
Yes. So what I am going to describe now is basically the characteristic equations only, but in a slightly more general setting. Okay, I will not use characteristic equations per se. If you know about characteristic equations, well and good, very good. Okay, but I will talk about something slightly more general, which will help you to get characteristic equations for certain class of functions and even from here. So what we start with is what we called as a generating function. Now, what is a generating function? So note that this is a series, right? Fibonacci number is a series. Okay, so there is f0, f1, f2, f3, and goes on like that. So generating function is actually you can think of it as a polynomial, which is basically f0 plus f1x plus f2x square plus f3x cube and like that. So in other words, this is summation over I equals to 1 to infinity or 0 to infinity f of I x to the power I. So now this is it's the infinite polynomial. Okay, this is a polynomial that I'm not going to go and ask you that, oh, what is the value of f of 1 or what is the value of f of 0.1. No, I'm not going to ask you any of those things. Okay, but this is a polynomial. It's an infinite polynomial, and we are going to live with this, and we will see with some complete weird magic things will be solved. Okay. Now, I should also comment here that while I am writing this one as a generating function, actually for any sequence, okay, for any sequence, say A0, A1, A2 till something an, and it goes on till a infinity. Okay. Usually a generating function, it's not, there is no uniquely defined generating function. A generating function, what it means is that it is a kind of, so a generating function is a function on a variable. Sometimes it can be a function of two variables also for that matter. Okay, and it has, we can say that it has a x to the power d. So summation over d equals to 0 to infinity, x to the power d, and the term here, which I call it as, say, which I will call it as AD. What is AD? So AD is nothing but, AD is a coefficient. It's a coefficient. Just think of it this way: that if somebody comes up and says that, oh, see, here is the generating function of this equation, of this sequence. Okay, what does it mean by generating function? Somebody comes up and gives you all the coefficients of the generating function. Then by looking at AD, okay, so there exists a unique value that can be recovered from, AD. Or in other words, AD is some function of this AD. Now let me give you an example. For example, I have defined you like this, right? This is a generating function for Fibonacci number. If I wanted, I could have also defined Fibonacci numbers, maybe say let me call this one as E of f, x, to be summation over x to the power I equals to 0 to infinity, f of I by I factorial. Now this is different from this, right? This is different from this. But what is the special case is that if I tell you that the, oh, see, the coefficient of the ith x to the power I, or x to the power, if I say the coefficient of x to the power 20 is 500, from this equation you will know that, oh, that means f of 20 is 200, right? Or whatever I told. Here you have to do a slightly more calculation. If somebody says that, oh, the coefficient of x to the power 20 is 200, then you will say that, oh, that means f of I by 20 factorial, or f of 20 by 20 factorial is 200. So f of I is the I factorial times the I factorial times the coefficient. Now, so generating functions was done in the class for counting certain things, right? I assume that it was done in the class, and if it is not, please stop me, okay? And it was, how was it done actually? So was it done that how many ways can you partition n objects into yeah, so something like that. How many ways can you partition n identical into k buckets?
Yes, sir. This was the idea.
This was done, right?
Idea, yeah.
So
Like-
how can somebody else say how was this one done? Ayush, are you online? Ayush?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir. Yes, sir.
Can you just say how it was done? Have you attended that class?
No, sir, no.
Oh, very good. And you have not seen the class, seen the slides also.
Yes, sir.
You are a JRF or MTech?
Sir, MTech, sir.
Okay. You want to pass this course?
Yes, sir.
Aditya Shankar Pal, are you online?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you remember how this was done?
Yes, sir. Not this question exactly, but we have also done many other questions which I have understood clearly. So I want to tell about that.
No, this question, how will you do it? This question, how will you do it?
So using partition function.
How do you use it using partition function? And what is the partition function? I want you to kind of come up with a value or something.
Oh, sure.
Omkar Balerao, are you there online?
Yes, sir. I just joined.
Okay. Oh, you just joined?
Yes, sir. I had some internet issues.
Okay. But you can see this question written up on your screen.
Yes, sir.
Do you know how to solve this equation? This one?
Yes, sir. So we can think of basically we can think of the K bucket. So the buckets are distinct,
Yes,
right?
the buckets are distinct. Yeah.
So we can think of dividing these n objects into by using k bars.
Okay, but other than that, using a generating function, can you do that?
Okay. Sir, so like, can we say that each so if we use the same analogy, then so for between each bar we can have at most n objects.
Correct.
So therefore the corresponding generating function we can think of as 1 plus x plus x.
Good. Very good. Okay. Okay, so I mean, forget the bar and all. So I have these buckets, right? Buckets B1 to Bk. Now I'll think of this one as a bucket 1 either can have no element meaning x to the power 0, or 1 element, or 2 element, or it goes on like that. Now bucket 2 also will have similar of them, then it can have no element or 1 element and so on, and I can keep on going for all the set of k buckets. Now what is this object? This is nothing but, I mean, 1 plus x square plus this whole to the power k. Now why? Okay, what did I do? I mean, I have written some buckets, I've written some of stuff, but crucial thing is that when I multiply these two equations, okay, what is the coefficient? What is the coefficient of x to the power n? Coefficient of x to the power n is basically, okay, I can either have some element here times some element here times some element here times some element here, such that, note that the exponents adds up, right? So the coefficient of x to the power n, so if, maybe I can use a different color, if say this object, meaning say x to the power n over 2. This is x to the power n over 4. Then there are say, a lot of them. Then here is x to the power n over 4, and the rest of them are all the x to the power 0 coefficients. It basically means that I am going to put n over 2 objects in the first bin, n over 4 elements in the second bin, no element in the third bin, and so on and so forth. And then at the last bin, I'm going to put again n over 4 number of points. And note that when I multiply them, right, these coefficients, the exponents will add up to give you n. Now, this is one way of partitioning the n objects into k buckets. Now, there might be other ways, right? I can maybe partition one object in every one of them, and then here I will, in the last bucket, I will give the rest. That is another one. So, the coefficient, therefore, is the number of ways of writing n as summation of AIs, such that the AIs are bigger than or equal to 0 and I equals to 1 to k. Okay, so this is one way of doing it. Now you say, okay, what is the great thing that you have achieved over here? Nothing much, except that, by the way, again, was the binomial theorem done in the class? Hello, who is a good person to answer? Somrita, can you just
No,
say
sir.
that binomial theorem was not done in the class?
Most probably no. I cannot remember. Most probably no.
Okay, good. Okay,
Yes, it wasn't done. Like I also cannot remember.
okay, fine. Okay. So the useful thing of this thing is that, okay, so maybe I can try to recollect you guys a little bit from your high school stuff. So 1 plus x squared till x to the power, till infinity. What is this value? Do you remember what is this thing?
1 by 1 minus x.
1 by 1 minus
1 minus x to the power minus 1.
Exactly. It's 1 by 1 minus x, or 1 minus x to the power minus 1, right? So this basically becomes.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello. Hello?
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Hello, you are audible.
Sir, actually the internet connection here at the ISI hostel is very poor. So can you repeat this once more? Like for last 2 minutes, I couldn't hear that upper part. Yeah, this.
This one.
Even B2 up to BK, what you have were saying. Like for the K buckets, you were saying like bucket can be its copy x to the power 0, x to the power 1, or that.
Yes. So for each bucket, I'm writing a generating function.
Okay.
And x to the power I basically means that I of these objects have been given to bucket 1. Okay. Now, there are this kind of polynomials. There are k polynomials like that, right? So for each of the k buckets, I have distinct polynomials. But x to the power I means that I element has gone to the bucket, that bucket. Now this basically means this is exactly equals to 1 plus x squared till whatever to the power k. Okay. Now, what does the coefficient of this term means? What is the coefficient of x to the power n means in this polynomial? This is a multiplication of polynomials, right? What is the coefficient of x to the power n means? It means that how many ways can I partition the n? So x to the power n, how can x to the power n come up? X to the power n comes up by, okay, either I want to use a particular thing from here, I mean some object over here, times some object over here, times some object over here, times some object over here, such that the exponents adds up to become n, right? And number of ways I can do it is the coefficient. So this coefficient is actually the number of ways of writing n into k positive numbers. Okay. And so, so sorry, maybe I had jumped my thing a bit more. So in other words, this coefficient, this polynomial, if I can expand it out, what will it happen? It will be I equals to 0 to infinity. It will be some x to the power I, but the coefficient will actually be the coefficient that I'm looking for. So let's call this one as P of this is a partition. Okay, so P of n. If this is the number, then this will be P of I. Okay, so P of I x to the power I. Right, so this coefficient is that. Now I don't know what this quantity is, but maybe I can find it out in some other way. And this is what I'm going to do now. That think of this polynomial. This polynomial is 1 by 1 minus x. So this polynomial, this product of n things, right? So what is 1 plus x square to the power k? This is 1 minus x to the power, I mean, is this blue, is this color not visible properly? It's equal to 1 minus x to the power minus k. Okay, and question is that what is the coefficient of 1 minus x to the power minus k? Can I expand this one out? Okay, now so here, so if I can expand this one out, and in fact I can expand this one out, so this is actually equals to summation of x to the power n equals to 0 to infinity, okay, n minus k
plus k, sir.
n plus k minus 1, choose k minus 1. Okay, now I will tell you how I get this thing that I'm going to say. But the idea is that this is a generating function for this object. Now, okay. Now, is this clear that this is generating function for this object? I mean, I don't know whether these questions also have any, I mean, these are like become a rhetoric question because I'm not getting any answers from you guys, but then I understand that many of you don't either sleeping in the class or not understanding or keeping quiet or not even interested in the class. So I am not sure whether this is of any help. But anyways, yeah.
Sir, this math expression is clear. Just can you say again that why you are saying that number of ways of writing
okay.
Why we are saying that coefficient of we are saying that the coefficient of x to the power k will be the number of ways we can choose k items. So can you again like?
So let's see. I'm using a very small one. Okay. Or maybe I should not write this one. Let me write it with just k equals to 2 and you will see it better. Can you say what is the coefficient of x to the power 5 in this equation? In this meaning, in this product. Can you tell me what is that? Two. Do you really think so? Why 2? Why 2?
Sir, x to the power 2 will be multiplied with x to the power 3.
Okay.
And x to the power 3 will multiply with the x to the power 2.
Yeah. I mean, what does this dot mean? Do the dot mean anything to you or not a thing?
Oh, sorry. I was thinking that only up to x to the power 3 we are taking.
No, everything.
Okay.
Sir, 6.
How are you getting 6?
Sir, 0, 5,
Okay, very good.
5, 0,
So let me
1,
write
4. Huh?
Yeah, let me write down, okay? So x
Yes,
to
sir.
the power 0 times x to the power 5 plus x to the power 1
4.
Plus
X
4, 4.
X to the power 2 and x to
3,
the power 3.
sorry, 2 and x to the power 3
3.
plus x to the
Yes.
power 3
Then in reverse order.
plus x to the power 4
4 into x to the power 1 plus x to the
5 into
power
x to the
5
power.
into 0.
What does this mean? This means that I have taken x from here and x to the power 4 from here. Right? Or in
Right.
other words, one element has gone to the first bucket and the 4 elements have gone to the second bucket. What does this mean? I'm taking,
From first and
Excuse me, sir.
yeah,
from second.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. Actually, I was unable to hear the line which you said that one element went into that first bracket, and after that, like I was unable to hear anything.
no, so one element, so x to the power 1 times x to the power 4, okay, how do you get this particular monomial? You get this one by the fact that you are thinking that, okay, I am taking x from the first one and x to the power 4 from the second one, right? Which means x from the first one meaning one element has gone to the first bucket.
Yeah, and the
This means four
second.
elements have gone to the second bucket.
Second bracket. Okay.
Right? So note
Yes.
that any of this expression is basically saying exactly how many how many things have gone into which bucket.
Yes, sir.
Right? So this
Yes.
is actually how many ways can I write 5? Okay? So this is actually how many ways
We can choose
5 can be written as sum of two numbers, of two
Right, right.
positive numbers.
Partitioning 5 into two
Exactly.
disjoint sets.
There is a one-to-one map from this to that.
Hmm?
So it's a one-to-one map from this problem and this problem.
It's a one-to-one map, right? In some sense. So the coefficient of this one is actually not this. Okay, so I must say the coefficient is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The coefficient of x is this one is actually 6, right? And I'm getting it because of this thing. Okay, fine. Okay. So similarly, we can do it for the 3 case also. And 3 case will be again same thing. How many ways can I? The coefficient of x to the power 5 will be how many ways I can split it up 5 into 3 components. Okay. And this is exactly what we are supposed to find. And that's what we are doing. Sorry.
দু মিনিট লাগবে পরে করছি দেরি করছি
Okay. Okay, is it fine? Okay. So this is called the generating function for this object. Okay. Now let me just ask you another one which is slightly more complicated, and this is slightly more hard. So here we did that how many ways can you partition n identical objects into k buckets? Okay, now let me ask you, how many ways can you distribute n distinct objects into k buckets where the ordering of elements into k buckets sorry, ordering of the elements in each bucket matters. Okay, so something like there are n people, okay, and I want to partition this n people, so that there are n of you. I want to make k committees out of that. Okay, and in each committee, I have to tell you the order of importance of everybody. Like, oh, this person is the head of the committee. This person is the deputy head. This person is the third in command. This person is fourth in command. This is from the fifth in command, and so on. How many ways can I do that? Can somebody tell me what is this number? Or at least how can I find that number? Any idea? Why don't you think about it and tell me in a couple of minutes?
So it should be n plus k minus 1 factorial by k minus 1 factorial.
It should be n plus k minus 1 factorial.
By k minus 1 factorial.
Okay. Can you just tell me how are you getting this?
So I just did use the ball and bar method, and the balls are distinct, and so the order of the ball will matter.
Okay.
And but the bars are not distinct. They are, I mean the.
Okay, fine, good. Okay, okay, good enough for me. Okay, so basically what you told is that, okay, see, I am going to apply the same things that I have done here. Okay, the ball and bar method or not doesn't matter, but I know that, okay, if I will first partition them into buckets. Okay, I have these k buckets. I will not even think about they are distinct or non-distinct. I'll assume that all the points are indistinguishable. And then I say, okay, see, so this bucket contains 5 of them. This bucket contains 2 of them. This bucket contains 6 of them, and so on and so forth. This contains 3 of them, and so on. Now, once I have decided that, what do I need to do? I am going to say that, okay, so the best option is let me line up this set of n distinct objects into O1, O2 till On. Okay, I am lining them up in a particular order. They're all distinct. Okay, and then I say, okay, you take the first 5 of them. You take the second 2 of them. You take the next 6 of them. You take the third 3 of them, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, how many ways that will give me only one particular ordering, right? But I am supposed to look at all possible ordering. Even here, like first 5 of them is defined from O2 to O5, O6, right? So I am going to look at all possible permutation of this ordering. So I'm okay. So this is how I split up for a particular ordering, and this is how I'm going to split up for another ordering by looking at that. And how many possible orderings are there? I can, of course, permute them in n factorial ways, right? So that is basically n factorial times the total number of ways I can partition that, which is partition the indistinguishable elements, which is this. Okay. N plus k minus 1, choose k minus 1, which is what it comes out to be, which is what you told. But is this argument clear? Any questions? Any doubt? Excellent. Then you will be able to answer by next question. How many ways can I distribute n distinct objects into k buckets where the ordering of objects inside a bucket does not matter. Or in other words, I am more worried about, okay, fine. You are telling me, give me one, okay, the first bucket gets the first 5 people, great enough. But that 5 people is all I want, the first 5 people. Now, if you say that, okay, see, here is another ordering in which I keep everything same, but I am going to replace the, I'm just swap the first 2 elements. That's the new ordering. This is one of the ordering in the n factorial. But this will have the same set of people in the first bucket, and everything else will remain same also. So this is the same permutation that I'm talking about. Okay. A good way of thinking of it is that I have got n books. I want to give it to n distinct books, and I want to give it to k friends of mine. Now, once I give 5 books to a friend, it doesn't matter out of those 5 books which is the first book I gave and which is the second book I gave. That is not important. It is important that my one friend has got these 5 books, and that's it. So ordering within a bucket or within one set doesn't matter. But if I take one book from the first person and one book from second person and swap them, then that's a different ordering. Okay? Is the problem clear? Okay. So now tell me, how can I think of how to solving that?
Sir, can we have empty buckets here?
You can have empty buckets also.
Sir, then is it k to the power n?
It is k to the power n. That is
To the
completely
power n, because each object has like k chances or k buckets to go into. So similarly, like for each, if each individual object has k options to like get associated with, then continuing in this matter, it will be actually k to the power n.
very
Like
good.
if
But can you give me a generating function of this? Now, why is the generating function important? Say, I would say that, okay, I also want on top of that every bucket should get even number of people, even number of objects. Okay, I can ask you that, and every bucket gets even number of objects. Or for that matter, as you say that, I can also ask you saying that every bucket should get at least 2 elements. So forget this one. This is a bit more harder to convince maybe for yourself also. But every bucket gets at least 3 elements, 3 objects. So, I mean, for this kind of stuff, it is a very complicated thing to do it actually by calculating it through balls and pins technique. So think of a generating function.
Sir, in this case, would the generating function be for a single bucket like x cubed plus x raised to 4 plus so on up to in whole to the k?
Okay, let's think of it. Will it be? Okay.
Sir, like, can we do it in this manner? Like since like it is stated that every bucket should have at least 3 objects. So out of the n objects available with us, let's first like distribute 3 objects to each of the bucket, and then from the remaining objects left with us, we can apply that star like.
Also we'll have the same kind of idea problem. You think of it. The first step that you told is not that easy.
Oh, I have to choose.
Yes, because the ordering inside them is again doesn't matter.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. No, so good. So somebody has suggested me this one. Okay. So I, instead of say I have these buckets, right? B1 till Bk, and it says okay, why not? I think of it x to the power 3 plus x to the power 4 plus like that, and all of them like this. But do you think this is the correct thing? What is the coefficient of x to the power n? Coefficient of x to the power n basically says that okay, I am going to put 5 element here, some element here, and some element here, and so on and so forth. Very good. But once I decide to put say 5 element here, I have not yet told you which 5 element. Right? So let me come back to this main thing over here. This one, not main thing, previous one. Can you write this generating function for this? This is actually easy by the way. See, what did we do? We just kind of convinced ourselves that whatever this value is, the generating that you can multiply with n factorial, and I get a generating, and I get a answer to that thing, right? So why not write the generating function as for this one when the ordering within a cell also matters? X plus to the power k, right? It's like how many ways can I partition this? How many ways can I decide partition n into k objects, k buckets? And once I divide it, then of course I am going to look at all possible n factorials, right? So it is n factorial. So this is the generating function for this set. Is this clear? Any question that this is a generating function for this problem? Note that this is our previous problem in which the ordering matters. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, good. Now, thinking of here, I could have started with that thing only, right? Okay, good. So let me start with n factorial over here. Now what happens? Can you say, how does this one affect this thing? So what is the coefficient of x to the power n over here? This would be basically number of ways of, this is the previous one, right? This is the number of ways in which I can distribute n objects into k buckets. Okay, forget the last part. Forget the last part for now, okay? For now, let's forget the last part. That would be useful. You will figure out what the last part is later. So let me just do it with 1 plus x square and everywhere here. 1 plus x square. So what is the coefficient of this? This is the number of ways you can partition n, partition these n distinct objects into buckets, k buckets, right? So if to get one term of the coefficient, I will take say x to the power 5 from here, I will take x to the power 6 from here, I will take x to the power 7 from here, and so on. Okay, I will take maybe x to the x cube come from here and so on. Right? But
Yes.
yeah, but then note that I am not interested in the ordering of the objects in each bucket, within each bucket. Right? I need to get rid of them. So once I have decided which objects to go, right? Already here, I have already decided that, oh, okay, first bucket gets this set of 5 elements. After that, I am not interested in the ordering of buckets here, of ordering of the objects within that bucket here. Can you see how to do it?
So will it be 1 plus x by 1 factorial plus x square by 2 factorial?
Exactly. So if I just say divide this by 5 factorial, what will that mean? That it is exactly like how you do for all permutation combination stuff, right? That within a bucket, this 5 elements. Okay, so think of it, one shot basically says that, oh wow, see, here is the set of ways I can partition it. Partition the n distinct elements into k buckets. But now, once I have put it there, then all the permutations that will just permute those 5 elements, that I should kind of remove it from my set. And oh, see, this is a same element, right? In other words, okay, I have decided to send O1, O2, O3, O4, O5 to bucket 1, and the rest of them have been split up into some other way. I don't know. Okay, bucket BK. Now, once I have, this is one permutation, right? Another permutation is O2, O1, O4, O5, O3, and O6, and so on and so forth. The rest of them remains identically same. So this is same as this. This permutation and this permutation are same. I am not supposed to count them as 2 permutations because from the point of the bucket, these 2 are identically same. Right? So how much should I divide it by? I should say that, okay, how many possible permutations are there that will permute these 5 elements? This is 5 factorial, right?
Yes, sir.
So if I want to remove them, if you have to identify all the permutations that just permute this and not the rest, I should look at n factorial by 5 factorial. Similarly, okay, so this one says if B2 gets say 2 elements. Here also, I should remove all of the permutations that permutes just these 2. And so I should divide by 2 factorial, and so on and so forth. And then the BK will say maybe have three elements. Okay, let's say 3 elements are there, n minus 1 and so on. I should remove by 3 factorial, and so on and so forth. Right? Note that this is changing. 5, 2, 3 will change. So that means I should, when I'm multiplying that, I should divide it by all the factorials over there. So in other words, the generating function will be n factorial times 1 plus x by 1 factorial plus x square by 2 factorial plus x cubed by 3 factorial plus to the power k. Okay, or in other words, summation of, or it will be n factorial times summation of I equals to 0 to infinity x to the power I by I factorial to the power k. Is it fine? Now this is actually, so is this fine, this generating function?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you will say, okay, how will you do that? Say for this particular case, somebody told you what is the right number, right? This will be k to the power n. But this is actually easy to see because this one is n factorial times, what is this quantity? Can you just somebody say what is this thing?
E to the power x, like expansion of e to the power
E
x.
to the power x, right? So e to the power x to the power k, which is n factorial times e to the power kx,
Okay.
which is n factorial. Now write it up back. What is this? E to the power kx is nothing but 1 plus kx by 1 factorial plus, basically the term will be kx to the power d by d factorial. Okay, I'm just expanding the value of e to the power x again. And which basically means that the coefficient of x to the power n is what? Yes, see, there is a n factorial outside, and then it is k to the power n by n factorial, which is k to the power n. Of course, it's a very convoluted way of calculating k to the power n. But now you see that if I am here and I say that, oh, see, every bucket should have at least 3 elements, all that I have to do is that I forget these terms. I forget these 3 terms and then compute to the power k and so on. Okay, so this is basically the generating functions that are there. Now, another thing that is very okay. So is there it's fine. So the generating functions are not necessarily the same thing. It can change, vary, various things can happen. But the idea is that you should be able to compute it very easily. Okay, that given the coefficient, I know how to calculate it. This is sometimes called the exponential generating function, but that's fine. You can call it whatever name you want. But the main idea is that if I have a sequence, a generating function is basically a infinite polynomial where the coefficient of x to the power n should immediately tell you that what is the nth element of the sequence. Okay. Any questions? Okay, if not, so let's move on. So, okay, so one thing that we kind of faced here is that, okay, once I write it in a very crazy way and all those things, how do we calculate these quantities, right? Like, for example, we had got 1 minus x, and I had written this quantity also, and so on. Now, I should kind of say that these are not very hard to do, okay? Let me recollect again something from your high school things. You remember the binomial theorem?
Yes, sir.
What is the binomial theorem? It is 1 plus x to the power n equals to summation of n choose k x to the power k, where k equals to 0 to n. Any doubt? Any questions?
No, sir.
Very good. But now, how do you find this? How do you prove this binomial theorem? Have you ever tried to prove it? So how to prove the binomial theorem? Any suggestion?
By induction.
Exactly. One way of proving it is by induction. I mean, in fact, if you remember correctly, I had told you that whenever I ask you how to do something, you should just say induction. That's most likely you will be right. Okay, you can induct on n and get it done. Okay, excellent. So from that, of course, I can get something 1 minus x and so on and so forth. Okay, but then how do I write? So let me extend this binomial theorem a little bit. It's called the extended binomial theorem or sometimes generalized binomial theorem. This basically says, so the previous one here, a crucial thing was that n must be a positive integer, a natural number, right? But what happens if it is not? So what happens if 1 plus x to the power n, but I am not saying n is I am just saying n is this number. So which means I can write things like this can be minus 100, say, for that matter, 1 minus x to the power minus 100. What is this quantity? Okay. The binomial theorem says that it is the same thing, nothing else, except that you go up to infinity, first of all. Okay, and that's it. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Who told fine yes first time? Tanmay Santra.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you are happy with this definition?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what is n choose k? But n is minus 1.
Minus 1. Minus 1. First minus 1. Minus 1 minus. It's basically like n into n minus 1 into n minus 3.
Okay, good.
By
Okay, good. So they say you kind of know this one. Okay, good. So let me just, so one thing that I have not defined is what is n choose k. Because n choose k is defined as what? You have always thought of n choose k as n factorial by n minus k factorial times k factorial. But let me not write it like this. Let me write it as n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into n minus k plus 1, right, by k factorial. Now see, while this quantity was not very clear how you define it for n is not a natural number, this quantity can be defined for n non-natural numbers also. Okay, so for example, 1 plus x to the power minus 1, what is this? This is actually, so I have to first identify what is, so summation of k equals to 0 to infinity, minus 1 choose k to k factor. And what is minus 1 choose k? You can do it minus 1 choose k is minus 1 into minus 2 into minus 3 into minus 1 plus what? Now I am very bad at this. Minus 1 minus k or 1 plus k? 1 minus k minus 1, right? So it's minus k to become. Sorry, of course. Be minus k by k factorial, which is not the top one is actually nothing but k factorial, except that there is a negative thing. So it will be minus 1 to the power k into k factorial by k factorial, which is 1. So this quantity therefore becomes, not rather, this becomes summation of k equals to 0 to infinity minus 1 to the power k x to the power k. Okay. Using the same thing, you can, using this theorem as a black box, using this theorem as a black box, you can also prove whatever was proved there. Okay, you can also prove this thing. Minus 1 minus x to the power minus k is actually equals to this quantity. Now, any questions? Any doubt? Okay. Now, Nirubam, are you there?
Yes, sir.
You're fine with everything here, right? Whatever has been told?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But one thing that I have not told you guys is that how do you, I mean, this theorem just came from nowhere. I mean, just because I have told you this theorem doesn't mean that theorem is right. Right? How do you prove this theorem? A theorem must have a proof. How do you prove this theorem? Nirubam, do you have any idea?
First proof for natural number, then put n equals to minus m,
and then prove it for again.
Then it will be proof for the negative integers. So
how will you prove it for negative integer?
Prove putting n equals to minus m, then m is positive, and 1 plus x all to the power m, we can use the binomial theorem for natural number.
Okay.
And that will be, and then
no, that is not the proof. I mean, you're thinking in the right direction, but not exactly. Okay, so let's try to see. Okay, first thing that you prove is that, okay, first step. So this is something that I'm going to tell you. I will not give you the full proof of it. Step one. Step one is what? Okay, first prove that 1 plus x to the power n equals to summation of n choose k x to the power k. Now this is something that we know, but this prove it for x equals to natural numbers. Now this is something that we have done. Now step 2, when n is a negative number, negative natural number. So in that case, say this is, I am thinking of as minus n. Okay, maybe I should not have written it like this. N is still a natural number, but I am looking at x 1 plus x to the minus n. And what do I want to show? I want to show, so this is a question mark, so this is something that I want to prove, that this is exactly equals to that same thing that I told you. How do I prove this? Okay, can I use this thing? Actually not, because this term and this term are very different objects actually. This term for n natural number is different than this term for, and this will be minus n to the power k, right? Minus n choose k. But one way of doing it is that, so this is equivalent to proving 1 plus x to the power n is summation of k equals to 0 to infinity minus n choose k x to the power k, which is equivalent to proving that summation of minus n choose k x to the power k, k equals to 0 to infinity, this whole into 1 plus x to the power n is 1. Now see, this quantity I know what is it, right? Now see, n is natural number, so this is minus k equals to 0 to infinity minus n choose k x to the power k into summation k equals to 0 to infinity n choose k x to the power k. Now can you say how can you prove this quantity? Can somebody say? Anyone? Indradil Oza, are you there? Indranil Oza, are you there?
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking.
Just thinking, okay. Okay, maybe I should ask. Soumya Sen?
Yes, sir, I'm thinking.
Oh, you are also thinking. Pallavi Datta?
Yes, sir. I'm not getting any ideas till now.
As I told you, anytime I ask you what to prove, how to prove it, you think of an induction. Okay? So of course you induct on n. That is one way of doing it. But then there is another way of doing it. And that is actually more interesting.
Sir, can we just compare the coefficients?
Exactly. See, this is a polynomial. Polynomial over x. This is also a polynomial. Except that here all the coefficients of any of x to the power I for I not equal to 0 is 0, right? So what you have to prove here is that choose any I. So we have to choose, say that, so this is same as saying that, right? For all I not equal to 0, coefficient of x to the power I in this subject, let me call this one as P of x, is 0. And coefficient of x to the power, coefficient of x to the power 0 is 1. Okay? And that you prove it by, I mean, there are a couple of ways of proving it. You can prove it by induction and you can prove it by some other, some brute force calculation also. Okay, so I let you guys go and think about this and try to solve it by yourself. Okay, but note that this will take care of this step 2. Now, this extended binomial theorem actually goes even further. You don't even need this. You can take n to be any real number. Okay, and that is even more complicated. But so let's look at this next one, step 3. So how to prove, say, 1 plus x to the power a fraction, sorry, p by q. This is equals to, how do you prove this quantity? Summation of n choose k, so not n choose k, it should be p by q choose k x to the power k, k equals to 0 to infinity. Now what is p by q by k? It is exactly how I defined here, right? This quantity can be a definition for any n. This is a finite stuff, right? We know that. Take any n to be a real number, okay, it's a real, that number minus 1, and you keep on going for k steps and then by k factorial. Okay, so the way to prove this one is, of course, this is same as proving that 1 plus x to the power p is this quantity p by q choose k to the power x to the power k whole to the power q. Now this quantity is something I know because now p has become a positive integer. I know how to write it, or I can, even for a negative integer also I can write it. And this quantity I have to again compute the two coefficients, coefficients of the two polynomials, and that will take for all rational n. And the final step is for all real n. Now this requires certain amount of analysis, real analysis. I mean, it is done by taking limits and all those things. Now I don't expect you guys to go and prove all of them, okay? But the reason I wanted to tell you guys here is that don't think that this binomial theorem is true because it has somehow worked, it has magically worked or something. No, this is true because it has a proof, a formal proof of correctness. Okay, and we will be using this theorem. I mean, I don't think I will be asking you to prove this thing, but again, I mean, if I were you, I would like to go and at least try my hands on trying to prove this stuff. Okay. So one thing that I sometimes do, I will think about it, will I do it now or not? I sometimes ask my students to prove this extended binomial theorem in assignment, at least for n to be a negative integer and n to be a say n to be equals to half. Okay, for then how do you prove this extended binomial theorem? So binomial theorem has a proof, and so is extended binomial theorem. But for our purpose, this is one of those special theorems that I would kind of ask you to remember. So this theorem is not that easy to derive if you don't know the actual expression.
Sir, is it valid for irrational powers also?
It is valid for anything. It is valid for irrational powers, it is valid for transcendental powers, it is valid for anything. Okay, but those proofs are much complicated because then you have to, so any irrational number can be written as a limit of rational numbers. Okay, and so you prove it by taking a limit and all those things, which is much more complicated from the analysis point of view. It requires a lot of understanding of a fine tuning of real analysis to prove it. Okay. Okay. So now let me. So where did we start from? Let me think about it. I forgot. Okay, I start from this from the Fibonacci sequence, and I wanted to start by writing the generating function, and I wrote this generating function like this. And once I wrote this generating function, now I want to solve this generating function. Okay. Now in the meantime, I kind of discussed on what are the different kind of generating functions that can happen and how the generating functions can be used to compute for count. And we also moved into the binomial theorem. Now let me come back to this Fibonacci number sequence. So f0 equals to f1 equals to 1 and f of n equals to f of n minus 1 plus f of n minus 2, and I had the Fibonacci number, this quantity, which is summation of k equals to 0 to infinity fk x to the power k. Okay. Now let's see. I can write fk. So I know this term, right? This is for n is greater than or equal to 2, right? So I can write this term as summation of what is k? K is, I can write, since fk is, I can write it as fk minus 1 plus fk minus 2. I can write it like this. But I can write it only for those k's which are bigger than or equal to 2 to infinity, right? So rather 2 to infinity. And note that coming from this first term to next term, what all things did I miss out? I have missed out the k equals to 0 term. K equals to 0 term is f of 0 times x to the power 0, meaning this is a 1, plus k equals to 1 term, which is f of 1 into k x to the power 1. So this is also 1 because of this term. Any doubt here? I have just done simple manipulation. Is it fine? Okay, if it is fine, then I can write this one as, let me expand it out. K equals to 2 to infinity f of k minus 1 x to the power k plus summation of k equals to 2 to infinity f of k minus 2 x to the power k. Now let's look at this term. What is this term? Can somebody say what is this term is?
X square times fx.
Exactly, because see, I have k equals to 2 meaning f of 0, x to the power 2. K equals to 3 is f of, so brother, if I take out x square out, so I can think of this one as x square is out, then I can write it as this quantity. And this is nothing but, the actual f of x. Note that this is the same as f of x, right? Similarly, if I write it like this, then this term becomes x into, now this term is not exactly f of x. Why? Because k equals to 2 is the lowest term, which gives me f of 1. So f of 0 is not included. So this is actually f of x minus the 0th term, which is 1, plus x plus 1. Any questions? Okay. If you have no questions, then this is, so I had this one f of x, right? So which means that f of x, let me just, I'll just expand it out just so that we don't make a mistake here. F of x minus x plus x square f of x, which is that f of x into, if I take this, now I will think of f of x to be just some kind of a, see, f of x is a formal polynomial. So don't think of it as I can just move around polynomials, right? Like I can think, I try to solve this polynomial almost like a variable itself. 1 minus x square and this is equals to 1. Or in other words, f of x becomes 1 by 1 minus x square. Haha. See, I started with something and I've landed up, I have started with something and landed up with something completely different. Now, I will not do it, but this can be written as, okay, alpha by x minus alpha 1 by x minus beta 1 plus alpha 2 by x minus beta 2. This is called this solving of the partial equation. Find out the alpha 1, beta 1, alpha 2, beta 2. That will give you this quantity. Okay. This can be written up this way. And note that what is this quantity? It will become. This will become alpha 1 into x minus beta 1 to the power minus 1 plus alpha 2 into x minus beta 2 minus 1. And now, using the generalized or extended binomial theorem, I can expand this one out, I can expand this one out, and I can write therefore a new polynomial where every coefficient will be known to us, right? Okay, so I am not doing these calculations, but then you can write it as a polynomial where each coefficient is a function of, I mean, it can be written as a function of this lambda 1, beta 1, lambda 2, beta 2. I want you guys to go and think about how to solve that. This is just plain, purely analytical stuff that you do. But using that, you will be able to, now after you have write this polynomial, I know that the nth coefficient, so the coefficient of x to the power n in this setting is f of n. And I know this coefficient. This will be the coefficient of x to the power n in. And I will be able to get a proper expression of the nth Fourier Fibonacci number in terms of n and some constants. Now I know I have rushed over this one a bit, but of course I will upload this thing now, this video. But more importantly, you should be able to solve it yourselves, okay? So I suggest that you try to solve this, complete this Fibonacci thing for yourself. And then as a trial, try to solve, say Ln, solve for Ln when I will write it the same thing, in fact, okay, just to make your life slightly easier. For n is greater than or equal to 2 and L1 equals to 1, sorry, L0 equals to 1 and L1 equals to 2. Try to solve it. It is slightly different from what we have. Or maybe I just, let me not just to make like slightly L1 equals to 3. Okay, just slightly different from what Fibonacci numbers are, and think about it, how to solve it. Okay. I will of course upload some assignments that will have more stuff like this, and you will be on the only way of getting hang of this, whatever we did, or whatever, almost a magic that is done over here. If you have not seen it, it should look like more like a magic. Okay, you have to do a lot more stuff, examples for yourself. So in the next class, which I don't know, I will possibly take it after maybe next week, completely graph theory will be taught. So maybe I will meet a week after that. I will hand out a set of assignments before that. I will come back and try to use generating functions to solve Catalan number and derangement number. Those are slightly more trickier than the normal this Fibonacci sequence generating function. But the main idea is kind of similar. You produce the generating functions, use the recurrences to get a kind of a cleverly create some kind of a some kind of an equation for the generating function, and then use one of this various techniques to solve it. So extended binomial theorem is one of them to do it. Now I should also say that I don't know whether if there is anybody who is from the math, coming from the hardcore math person or something. These generating functions are of an extreme help even for subjects which have nothing to do with counting or computer science as such. It is required. I mean, it is required to in counting, but not in terms of computer science. For example, generating functions is possibly the only way of counting the number of irreducible polynomials over FP. Now, if you have not understood whatever I just told, perfectly fine. But if somebody understood it, then it's for that person. Okay. So, any questions?
So in the all the problems, we have assumed that the buckets are all distinct. So what would be the case when the buckets
Oh, yeah,
are
the buckets are non-distinct. This is not the way to do it. Okay, buckets are non-distinct. Things become complicated. Okay, and another way of seeing it is that why is it hard? I mean, this one way of seeing it. I mean, I may want to spend some time later on. But see, you guys were saying that this is a partition function. It's a partition function. This is not a partition function, because when this first problem that I asked you guys, right here, how many ways can you partition n identical objects into k buckets? Sorry, there's some commotion outside. I cannot do much about it. Yeah. So anyways, let me just shout, I mean, use my voice louder to kind of dampen the commotion outside. Yeah, so when I asked this question, right, how many ways can you partition this thing? Of course, this was distinct buckets, right? This is not saying with same buckets. If I say that buckets are identical, because buckets are indistinguishable, in that case, that actually becomes the partition function. Okay, so in that case, let me just write it down here. In that case, say I have n equals to 5 and I want to k equals to 2. Now, what I told you, I can write k to be equals to 0 plus 5, or I can write it as 1 plus 4, or I can just write 2 plus 3, or I can write 3 plus 2, or I can write 4 plus 1, or I can write 5 plus 0. In the case of with distinct, when the buckets are indistinguishable, 5 can be written as, you can think of it that, okay, it doesn't matter who gets the bucket, who gets 0, who gets 5. So in some sense, I can write it as a distinct, as a decreasing sequence, right? A 4 plus 1 and 3 plus 2. Now this is a partition function. Okay, this is the partition function. This is the partition function is how many ways can you partition the number n into smaller numbers. Okay. And you can always think of the numbers to be in a descending order. So this is the function that Ramanujan did solved. Okay. This is the partition function. This is called Pnk, and Pn, which is number of ways you can distinguish it, is summation of P and K over K equals to 0 to infinity. And this is the partition function that is solved by Ramanujan. This is very hard. Okay. And there is, I mean, it is beyond the scope of this class to explain you that stuff. I can only mesmerize you by showing you what Ramanujan has done. I don't know, was it shown in the class before? Hello? Did the TS show the Ramanujan function before?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, so that is for this, okay, when the buckets are non-distinguishable. When the buckets are distinguishable, this becomes much easier problem because we can use generating functions to solve it. Okay, anything else? Okay, so if there is no more doubts and all, let me stop here today. And we will, so anyway, next week, we will keep you updated on Classroom. I guess there will be 2 to 3 lectures, mostly possibly from graph theory point of view. And an assignment will be posted for this counting and generating functions kind of stuff. I will also upload a very nice write-up of generating functions and counting that is there, that I found it from the internet in some place. And we will possibly meet again after 1 week to discuss more stuff. Okay. Okay, see you.